Hey y'all, Tanny Cooks here. Today I'm going to show you how to make an absolutely delicious low-carb recipe. We're going to be cooking some stuffed zucchini boats. Yes, zucchini is plentiful in the summer, and this is a perfect time to make this recipe. It's very simple, very basic, but because there are a couple of different ways I'm going to show you how to season this, you can make this recipe repeatedly and not get tired of it. So, let's get to cooking. I'm starting out with a few basic ingredients. I have 1 pound of ground turkey that is 85% lean, 15% fat. And then I also have 1 pound of mild Italian turkey sausage bulk. So this turkey sausage will have more fat than the regular ground turkey. I'm also using some zucchini. Now, if your zucchini is bigger or smaller, then you may use a different quantity. I have some shredded cheese. I have a can of no salt added diced tomatoes. And then I have some seasonings, onion powder, garlic powder, black pepper, and some olive oil. The first thing I'm going to do is wash my zucchini with water and white vinegar. That is my preferred method for cleaning my produce. And I give it a scrub to make sure there's no wax covering on it. And then next up, I'm going to go ahead and cook up my meat. So I'm going to start with my turkey sausage to render out the fat that's in it, so that'll help flavor and season the ground turkey that I put in next. Now, if you don't want to use turkey, you certainly could use ground beef or ground pork. In my nonstick pan, I am being careful to use silicone utensils so that I don't scratch my pan. So I make sure I have my silicone utensils close by, so that's what I reach for. So I'm just cooking my meat by separating the pieces, and then I'm adding my ground turkey. You can choose to use low-fat ground turkey meat, or you could use high-fat ground beef, whatever your preference is. Now I'm adding seasonings. I am not on a low-carb diet, so I'm not measuring my onion powder, garlic powder, but if you are, then you want to be sure that you consider the fact that garlic powder, onion powder may have a very small amount of carbs per half or quarter teaspoon serving, but if you get a whole tablespoon of garlic powder, onion powder, then those carbs could be between 2 and 5 grams, and that could have an impact if you're trying to eat less than 20 carbs a day, for example. And I'm constantly wiping my stove when I use a variety of seasonings to keep everything clean. So now I have my can of diced tomatoes. I'm just going to be sure to rinse the top off with water, or you can use white vinegar. Again, this is no salt added. Also, I'm always careful to check the expiration date of any canned goods before I use them. I am draining the liquid out of the diced tomatoes because I don't want it to be too liquidy, but I am going to add some thicker tomato sauce later. I ended up using 2 cans of diced tomatoes just for my personal taste. And so the different ways we can season this is with fajita or taco seasoning. And this one contains a small amount of carbs. The other option is to go the Italian route with Italian seasonings. And this doesn't even have nutrition facts on the bottle. The herbs probably don't contain any carbs. I used about 2 tablespoons of Italian seasoning, but you can taste it and decide if you want to add more. And we give that a stir. And this is where I'm going to add my container of no salt added tomato sauce. If you wanted to add additional vegetables like mushrooms or onions or olives, you certainly could. Now I'm going to give my zucchini a dry so that I can cut it up on my cutting board. It's easier to handle when it's dry, of course. So I am just working one by one, and I slice it down the middle, and it looks absolutely beautiful on the inside. So what I'm going to do is just use one of my tablespoon measuring spoons, and I'm just going to scoop out the center because this is a metal measuring spoon, so it's firm and it's easier for me to scoop in and scoop out. You can also use a melon ball scoop if you have one of those handy as well. So I'm scooping out the flesh. I'm sure there's a recipe I could have used this in, but I didn't. I just discarded the flesh that I got rid of. So now that I've done all of my zucchini halves, I'm just going to spray it. I decided to use this spray oil instead of my olive oil just because I bought it and I never used it before. So now I'm just wiping the oil on the front and back of my zucchini boats. We're going to actually let these roast in the oven so that we can eat the zucchini as well as the meat, and so that's why we put oil on it. I'm stuffing each zucchini boat with a few tablespoons of meat and tomato mixture, and it's just as easy to do it while the boats are down on my cutting board instead of in my hand, so I do that to make the process go a little bit faster. So here I have my beautiful zucchini boats, which you could bake them at this point, but I decided to go an extra step and add some cheese on top. So once you add the cheese on top, bake it in your oven at about 400 degrees for about 20 to 25 minutes. You want the cheese to melt, but you also want your zucchini to roast through and be tender so that you can eat that as well. And we're not just eating the insides of the boats, we're eating the whole shebang, just not the end pieces. And so look at that, y'all. Look at how beautiful this looks. My Italian seasoning with my Italian cheeses and tomatoes. This is absolutely delicious. And it's easy to meal prep this, to have this for lunch a few days in the week. Thank you so much for watching this video. Please subscribe to my channel and check out my playlist on other low-carb recipes that I like.